Okay, hello everyone. Today we're going to do a very simple sketchbook activity drawing. So you'll just need your pencils. Any pencil is fine, and maybe an eraser, and of course your paper. So if you have a sketchbook, you can use just half, or you can just use a whole new page. So it's up to you. It will just be with pencil. If you want to use colors, you can also do that, but it is up to you. So today we're doing what's called a metamorphosis drawing. Metamorphosis, kind of a fancy term for change. So in nature, when we have like a caterpillar and it turns into a pupa and it becomes a butterfly, that's called metamorphosis. So when something's changing into something else. And this is a challenge where we have to pick two things two things, and we're going to try and turn them into each other. Okay, let me show you some examples. So these are some examples of the metamorphosis challenge. So here we have hot air balloon, and it's becoming a jellyfish. So these two objects, they're not related, but they look very similar. So we're going to find a way to transform the two objects using drawings in between. And another one is fish turning into an eyeball. So it's using the shape of the objects and turning into each other. So because they're both kind of almond shaped, this actually works out pretty well. Here's another one. Turning an alarm clock into an owl. And this one works well too because, as you can see, the shapes, they're both very round. This one's quite an interesting one, a little bit challenging. They turned a dragonfly into a light bulb. So you can see how the wire inside the light bulb became the wings. And then they slowly turned that into this object. Okay. Because I have no idea what object we're going to be using, I'm going to pull up a object generator. Okay. Hopefully it gives us a good object, because hoping for the best, but it's going to give us two items and we are going to draw those. If you have two objects that you already want to draw, please pick those. So if you already know that you want to draw something, ignore this. But this is just for me and us. Okay. That is so bad. Does anybody see anything that they like? This could be a good one, but I'm just thinking it's going to be too flat. Okay, let's hope for fruit. The next time fruit shows up, we'll pick that one. Flowers to a hammer? I don't know.
Ugh.
These are a bit hard. What? Oh, is this one good? Do we feel okay with this?
How can a cassette tape can turn into a fish?
Okay, we'll figure that out. But I like
Okay.
this. So anybody have objections?
No.
Okay, so
It will
this
be
is the
interesting to
objects.
see. Yeah.
Okay, these are the two objects that we are going to draw into each other. You can use these photos, so if you want, you can take a screenshot right now just for
Okay.
reference. But otherwise, the idea is that we're going to turn the cassette tape into a fish, and then the fish into a cassette tape. Don't know how yet, but I'll show you what you're going to do first. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge, and that's the whole point. Okay,
I
so
think so.
take a little bit of a picture or a screenshot. Cassette tape to a fish. You know,
Mhm.
if you look at the cassette tape, the two little holes kind of look like eyes. I'm not really sure. Okay. Is it okay to take the picture away now?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
we need to get
Yes.
time. We need to put time. Okay.
More time? Okay, look at this.
Okay.
Okay,
All done. Thank you.
all done?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll move it back every so often so we can see it. All right. So when you do a metamorphosis drawing, you're going to start with two ends. So kind of like from A to B or A to Z, A to Z. So I'm gonna put the cassette tape as A and then the fish as Z. And you're going to have a bunch of steps in between. Maybe two, maybe three pictures or drawings that are the two objects like a hybrid of each other. Okay, but first we're going to draw the cassette tape. And it can just be a front view, very simple, just what you remember it looks like. And it doesn't have to, let me show you the example again. So you notice how this one, it's going from left to right directly, like in a line. 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't have to be like that. You can maybe do like a curved, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like going up in the page or like moving so that your page doesn't look like 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is okay, but we want some movement. So I'm going to start with the cassette tape down here. And then I want to move my drawings up to the corner of the page. So this is just my planning process. Okay, let's draw the cassette tape. So no special technique, just draw from what you remember. I'm going to make mine a little bit slanted.
Sorry.
And this is just a rough sketch. At this point, don't add too many details because we're going to come back after everything has been drawn. Okay, so I've just drawn essentially what is step 1. And this is the cassette tape. I'm going to start with cassette tape, and then through a series of like other steps or other drawings, we're going to change it into the other object, which is going to be the fish. So total, it will be maybe about 4 or 5 drawings. Okay. Okay, so this is your starting image. If you are following along, I put mine at the very bottom. And then I want, once again, the drawings to go up to the top right. So maybe it'll go, next one will be here, and then here, and then here, and then here. I don't know, something like that. Okay, and then I'm going to actually draw my ending image, my end drawing, which is the goldfish. And you want to keep it kind of the same size, roughly, as the cassette tape. So however big your cassette tape, try and see if you can make it the same size as the goldfish. So if anybody needs the image, here it is. I can move it up a little bit. And once again, it does not have to be the same picture. It can be another fish. Maybe you can look on the internet for another picture, maybe a better one. But I'm going to use this one. Maybe it doesn't have to be going down. Maybe I want it to kind of be tilted this way. And another tip when you're drawing, so you see how the tail is kind of going off the page. Just let it go off the page. A lot of times we try to cram and squeeze everything into the paper, but that makes it feel very, very busy and very almost congested. So let some things fly off the page. The shape of the fish is kind of like an eyeball. For the scales, I'm just going to add a few, not all of them, just to show that there's something there. I was drawing threes all over the place. Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we have drawn the starting image and the ending image. kind of like keyframes in animation. We're going to draw the missing middle section. And I'm going to start with the starting image and then move up slowly. So this is kind of the hard part, and you want to think for a while, because not only do you have to decide, okay, what part do I want to turn into this part, and how do I do that? But you also have to think about, okay, well, will it make sense? So what I'm thinking here is that we turn one of these holes into the eye. And then this second one can be the fin. Either way, we're going to have to also turn the shape of the cassette into the shape of the fish. So it's square or rectangle right now. But let's see if we can turn it into a round shape. Hello, May. Welcome.
Hi.
You're like, what crazy drawing are we doing with them today?
Very nice. It looks very, very nice.
Really? Okay. Yeah, if you want, I can show you what we're doing. Okay, so this was the idea. It's called metamorphosis drawing, where we turn two objects into each other.
So you're trying to turn a cassette tape and a fish into each other?
Yep.
I have to see this.
We don't even know if it's happening or not, but it will turn into something. That's what will happen.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's hard because now we have to think like a machine. How do we turn this? Okay, so I'm going to do the cassette tape I'm going to just turn it into an oval. And I'll put it right here. So round the edges. And then kind of, you want to morph it into the outline of this eventually. So the outline of it is kind of curved and then it flares up into the tail. So you want to set the foundation pretty early on because we only have 3 drawings to fill in the gaps. Okay, so I'm going to go on the outside. One way to think about it is you're changing the outline and then shifting the little parts in the middle to fit the details of the fish. So change the outline to match the outline of the fish slowly and gradually, and then change the parts to fit the fish parts. Okay, so this is kind of the outline for my second step. And then as for these lines, I'm going to start turning them into little scales or almost like squiggles so that I can maybe use these lines to become the scales. And as for the box, this inside box, I think we can just slowly start to get rid of it because there's no box on the fish. I'm going to move this down here. And then kind of pop that bubble. and start adding some darkness in here. It's just kind of like how cells form. If you've ever seen footage of cells merging and then splitting, mitosis. It's kind of like you're splitting a cell. And then for this dark part, I'm going to melt it into the bottom of this. Right now I'm turning the lines into eventual scales. Forgot to fill these in. They're supposed to be black. Does anybody have ideas for what we can do for the bottom of the cassette tape? How do we change? What do we even change it into?
Green?
The fins?
Yeah.
Okay. But how? Yeah. uh, hmm. We'll figure it out. Maybe this can be kind of like the underbelly of the fish, and this is where the fins are coming out of. Who knows? We'll play it by ear. Okay, I'm going to turn this into kind of looks like a puffer fish now. Oh, and don't forget the little, I don't know what it is, but it's a cap on the side of the cassette tape. Maybe just some part of a plastic. Maybe we could turn that into the beginnings of the tail. Okay. And then I think we got everything right. We have the cassette tape holes turning into the eyes, and then the lines are turning into the scales. And then whatever's happening down here are turning into the fins. So we have the general shape starting to change. Now we're going to move on to the middle drawing. And it's going to be kind of like right in the middle because it's a middle drawing. But it's going to be almost a perfect blend between the cassette tape and the fish. So this might actually be the hardest drawing or not, we don't know. But we're going to turn this even more into the fish. So I'm going to put it here. Let me think. Thinking about where to put the drawing. Actually, I'm going to put it here, to the right of this one. Okay, so once again, starting with the outline, you're going to want to start really changing it into the fish. So it's going to start to resemble a fish. Let's start with the tip. Kind of want to draw the edges like it's changing. So this is kind of like the tail. And I'm turning this round edge into something a little bit more wavy. And then now I'm going to push this out so it becomes a point for the mouth of the fish. And what I'm doing is that I'm constantly always looking back and forth. So earlier when I was doing the fins, I'm looking between these two fins. So I've decided, okay, I'm going to turn this into that. And I'm just looking back and forth as I'm drawing so that when I see it, I can kind of piece it together. When I see both parts, one after the other, it's a little bit easier to conceptualize. Hmm. Mhm. Okay, so now the middle drawing is done. You can kind of see the progression and it's going somewhere. And to complete the cycle, we only have one more drawing to do, and that'll be the hybrid, the mix between these two drawings. So I'm assuming it's probably going to look a little bit like a fish, but you could say it's almost fish, but not yet. So we're going to turn this slowly into the shape of the fish, and we're going to extend the fins and as well as really start to define the proportions. So right now the body of this one is really big. We're going to start cinching in the line here and then pushing all of these elements into what will be the tail. And then also making sure that the texture of the scales start to match the ones up here, which are a little bit more fine. Okay, so let's start with our fourth drawing, or our fifth drawing. Just gonna put it right in between these two. So once again, I'm going to start with the head. Okay, so at this point, when all your drawings are laid out, you can look back and see if the progression feels right. So for me, I feel like the second drawing, I felt like it changed too quickly. So I'm going to go back and fix some areas. So you can also do this. You can look back at your drawings and see if you can, if one drawing needs to go back a step or if it needs to go forward a step a little bit. So for example, this one, I might erase the fins because I feel like it's too far a step from the first drawing. So I want it to resemble the first one a little bit more. And then have the fins shoot out later. Instead of having fins shoot out, I might just turn these into kind of like it's melting into the finished shape. This way we have a little bit more similarities between the two. So when we look at it, they feel more similar. So it's not like a huge jump from step 1 to 2. And same with the bracket around the holes. I'm going to just darken that up a little bit so it still looks like it's similar. And then same when you change something on the first step or the second step, you might also want to change it on the third step as well. So morphs a little bit more smoothly. So I'm just talking about this dark hole over here. Then I'm going to go back to my last drawing and just darken up the lines, because notice how these ones have very dark, heavy lines. And this one was kind of a light sketch. To make the whole drawing more cohesive, you also need to pay attention to how you're drawing. So are your pencil lines dark? Like, are they the same darkness? Or does it need to be a little bit darker? These are all little things that you should keep in mind when you're drawing anything. You want to use different pressures when you're drawing so that your lines have different effects. So different weighting, different darknesses. Create movement in your drawing. Okay, at this point, you can start to shade and add values as well. So when you feel like your drawings they look smooth and almost if you took a picture of each one of them and then you swipe through the pictures, if you feel like that would make sense, then you can start to shade and add details. Because if we leave the details always for last, because if we happen to have something that we want to change, it's easier to change it because we won't have all the details in the way. Okay, I'm going to start shading my objects. And remember, when you add values or when you shade, that shading also needs to be transformed along the way. So if I make this dark, then I have to make the areas on the fish dark as well.
Mhm.
I'm just going to make my second drawing a little bit more square. It's because now that I'm looking at it, it's too round too soon. And so I'm just squaring out the edges, the corners. Okay, so I think I am done. How is everybody doing? Is anybody finished?
Yeah, finished it.
Almost? Almost?
Yeah.
Okay, let me know how it goes. I'm just gonna cut off the bottom here.
一样不见。
嗯，
每个人都不一样。